Welcome to the Akashic Library.
What if I told you that the secret to feeling rich has almost nothing to do with getting more stuff, and everything, absolutely everything to do with wanting less? Today, we're going to dive into a really simple but powerful idea that can completely flip how you think about wealth and happiness. So, let's just start with a quick thought experiment. Imagine you decide, right now, that the absolute, non negotiable price for your happiness is $1 million, not a penny less. Until you hit that number, you're just unhappy. That's the rule you set for yourself. Okay, so you work your tail off, you save up $100,000. I mean, that's a huge achievement, right? But wait, according to your own rule, you're not $100,000 richer. Nope, you're now $900,000 in debt, a self-imposed happiness debt that just hangs over your head. And that feeling, that sense of always being behind no matter what you do, that's the heart of what we call the scarcity trap. It's this crazy psychological loop where the more we want, the poorer we actually feel. Think about it. When our happiness is tied to things that are super hard to get, extreme wealth, a certain social status, we're basically designing a life built on anxiety. We're either worried about not getting the thing, or we're terrified of losing it once we have it. And this creates this fragile, kind of impossible checklist for happiness. You need the perfect house, the perfect family, the perfect job, the whole shebang. But if just one of those things isn't quite right, the whole house of cards just comes tumbling down. So if chasing more just makes us feel poor, what's the alternative? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. It lies in this powerful idea called the abundance paradox. The path to feeling truly rich is, believe it or not, to want less. This is kind of like the backwards law in action. The more you chase a feeling, the more it runs away from you. So the more things we need to be satisfied, the less satisfied we actually feel. But when we shrink that list of wants, we suddenly find ourselves feeling like we have everything we need, abundance. And this brings us right to the core of this whole thing. It's a simple but incredibly powerful mantra. The less you want, the more you have. By shrinking your desires, you actually increase what you already possess, because what you have suddenly becomes enough. And this all comes down to one little powerful word: enough. So what is enough? Well, here's the amazing part. It's not some fixed number out there in the world. It's completely subjective, it changes, and most importantly, you have 100% control over defining it for yourself. Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we put this into practice? A great place to start is to look back at some ancient wisdom, specifically at the power of moderation. The ancient Greek philosopher Epicurus, he absolutely nailed this idea more than 2,000 years ago. He understood that the real secret to happiness wasn't addition, it was subtraction. Not subtracting your stuff, but subtracting your wants. Epicurus basically broke our desires down into 3 buckets. First, you've got the natural and necessary stuff, like food, water, a safe place to sleep. These are actually pretty easy to get. Then there's the natural but unnecessary. Fancy gourmet meals, designer clothes, nice but not essential. And finally, the vain and empty desires. Things like fame, immense power, extreme wealth. These are literally impossible to ever fully satisfy. His advice? Just focus on that first group. And this ancient idea is more relevant today than ever before. We live in this age of just unbelievable abundance, endless entertainment, food, information at our fingertips. But all this overindulgence paradoxically creates a new kind of scarcity. Our senses get dulled, and we end up needing more and more just to feel the same level of satisfaction. And the Stoics, another group of brilliant ancient thinkers, offered the solution: moderation. Now, this isn't about depriving yourself of joy, not at all. It's about self-control. It's about making sure that your pleasures serve you instead of you becoming a slave to them. So besides moderation, there are 2 other really practical tools we can use to shift our whole perspective. They are gratitude and understanding the true cost of the things we want. Gratitude is probably the most direct path. Instead of obsessing over what you don't have, you just shift your focus to what you do have. By just taking a moment to be grateful for your home, your health, the people in your life, you instantly increase their value in your own mind. It creates a feeling of wealth for free. And then we have this profound idea from Henry David Thoreau. He tells us to stop thinking about cost in terms of money and start measuring it in a currency that's way, way more precious: our life, our time. So the next time you really want something, ask yourself this question. Don't just look at the price tag. Think about the hours, the days, the weeks of your one precious life you will have to trade to get it. Is it really worth that? And all of a sudden, that shiny new car or that dream vacation doesn't just cost money. When you actually do the math, it could cost you 5,000 hours of your life. That's time you can never get back. Time you could have spent with family, or learning something new, or just living. So, it really all boils down to a fundamental choice. There are two very different paths you can take to create that feeling of abundance in your life. Remember that happiness debt we talked about at the beginning? Well, when you carry around these huge, unfulfilled desires for a long time, your own mind becomes this relentless debt collector. It's constantly nagging you, reminding you of what you don't have, creating this background hum of stress and lack. And this leaves us with two clear paths to get out of that debt. Path 1, try to accumulate more, get everything you desire. But on this path, you're always at the mercy of the world, of external things you can't control. Then there's path 2, desire less. Here and only here are you in complete control. And that is the ultimate paradox. By reducing what you demand from the world itself begins to look different. What used to seem like a landscape of all the things you didn't have, it transforms. It becomes a landscape of things you simply don't need. And that frees you up to appreciate everything that's already there. So, we'll leave you with this one final thought to chew on. We're often taught that success means conquering the world, right? Bending it to our will. But what if the greatest victory, the one that leads to real, lasting freedom and abundance, is just conquering your own desire for it?
Your limiting beliefs aren't facts, they're stories you can rewrite. Next, discover who you really are in Personality Creates Reality.